Welcome back aboard Arabella. This week, Steve gets a visit from a whole bunch of familiar faces, and they all spend the weekend getting a ton of things done on deck and down below. Just as they did whenever arriving at the boathouse about a year ago this time, the crew took their mission briefing from Steve and dispersed throughout the boat, getting right down to business.
What the heck is that thing?
In the head, Bill was working first on tying the gray water tank into the vent for the composting toilet.
Just half of that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
So
huge, maybe
it'll be
3/4 of an inch down or so.
Okay.
We can start the taper.
Yep, but when it's inside, it'll look something like that.
A long time ago now, Joe the machinist, I put the screws with it. Good job, Steve.
Good job, Steve.
Cut these on the lathe.
Okay.
So they are all perfectly square and identical. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for your help.
So what we want to do is take this piece of cement board out. We probably take all of it off.
Yeah.
This one too. And then this is going to get set with those as spacers.
Okay.
Just pop a little hole with the stainless. These go on. And that'll let us have that air channel and keep things cool. Put as few of these in as you can,
Okay.
but as many as you need to make it solid and secure.
Up on deck, Jeff got started on the aft hatch, which was having a couple of different things done to it, while David spent the start of his morning chasing down leaks in the deck under the propane tank.
Anything, Steve?
Not that I can see.
All right, that's a good sign.
So we've been getting a small deck leak here, and it's been dripping onto our clean dishes. Yeah, I got nothing.
All right.
That's good. So you did some pitch work already, right?
Oh yeah, I did all the pitch work already,
Okay. So,
and I found about like 4 or 5 major voids that I filled in.
all right.
All right, here goes the next bucket.
All right, I got a little water.
What?
I got a little water at the doubled up beams by the cockpit.
Yep.
So if you go basically that forward cockpit flange,
Yep.
if you follow that over to port like 10 inches or so, 12 inches. What you working on up here, Bill?
I'm working on the hatch to put the hole down on. So we had to make sure that we made the holes big enough so it wouldn't split the trim. And up here it had enough meat. So this just unscrews. And so the hatch will go up. And pretty cool. Was this from Victoria?
I don't think that was from Victoria. It might have been.
Yeah, it's an old piece, but it's functional. Works good. And I made sure, according to Bob, all my slots and the screws are all in the same direction and vertical.
Beautiful.
So no waves are coming in now.
No, they got a little more work to do. Awesome. Hey, Robin. Can you maybe pass me some through the porthole?
Yep. Hang on. Let me find it.
This week's video is sponsored by Real Paper, and if you're not familiar with Real Paper, they make toilet paper out of 100% bamboo, which is a fast-growing grass, instead of using trees. Thank you.
You're welcome, honey.
So if you didn't know, I'm a big fan of working with wood and using trees to do things like build boats, and this is a way that more trees can go towards cool things like building boats, and bamboo, which is a fast-growing grass, can be used for toilet paper, because really we only use this stuff once and we flush it, and humans have been cutting forest for decades for toilet paper. So Real Paper comes in a cardboard box, which is recyclable. There's 24 rolls per box, and each roll comes individually wrapped in compostable paper. So this is 100% plastic-free packaging. When we're out cruising on Arabella, all of our waste ends up going overboard when we're far enough offshore and in places where it's legal to dump. So it's great to use bamboo toilet paper and know that there's no harsh chemicals or anything on it that we're putting out, and it's a pretty ecological way to go about doing it. Real Paper is available in easy, hassle-free subscriptions or for one-time purchase on their website. All orders are conveniently delivered to your door with free shipping in 100% recyclable plastic-free packaging. If you head to realpaper.com/acorn and sign up for a subscription using code ACORN at checkout, you'll automatically get 30% off your first order and free shipping. So let's stop flushing our forest and try Real's tree-free paper. Real is paper for the planet.
Grouted.
You know,
Took a little bit.
walkie box on the deck or on the dock up there. I think there's a
Hold on.
building that.
Can you pull this on the
Yep,
wedges?
you want to do the. Ahoy!
I hear an Aaron.
Yes. Did you guys order this weather?
No.
Has it been like this out in Western Mass?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you brought it with
You guys are going to be working on a project down here.
Great.
So you can come on down. Jeff and I are
Oh,
going
hello.
to be in the way for just a few minutes. It's definitely sounding stiffer.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. We should have gone and tugged on the rig.
Oh, to see how
Because the
yeah,
shrouds
loosen
have
up.
gotten a little loose, and I'm sure that we're
Tightening them up a
snugging
bit
things
now,
up a
yeah.
little bit. All right. You can probably call it there.
Jeff, what are you doing?
Gonna put a hole in the boat. Yeah, we gotta put a little bell vent on the aft hatch here because it's been collecting a lot of condensation from the inside. So this will allow a little air to get in.
Yep. There it is.
When are we gonna put this in the hole?
Little mushroom vent. No, it's not.
Not at all.
That's right. All right. So what do we?
You're gonna need one of these guys.
I don't know what he's got for bolts.
It's in.
That's nice. I like the little.
So I think we finished up this mushroom vent. It spins up nicely. It goes up pretty high, so you can get a lot of ventilation into the lazarette here. But we put down some butylene to act as a gasket to keep all the water out, so that when you have this vent closed, no water's coming in. And the hardware store didn't have any silica bronze, so we set it in with some 1024 panhead machine thread screws. So this thing should be good to go. And it's probably, when it's all the way up, it might be a little close to the tiller, but even if you have it halfway, still get some decent ventilation and still be able to sail at the same time.
All right, so what I was working on this morning was in the controls box, you know, Aiden did an awesome job of 4200ing it down. But what Steve realized is that with a little bit of gaps around the gasket here, water was getting down behind the plate and then just pooling up back here. And so I took a 5/8 inch spade bit with an extension and drilled through the side here. As soon as I drilled through, all the water just drained out. So I chiseled it, used a rasp to round it over, and now I'm just going to screw it back on. And it should be good for next season.
So David had made this, thankfully it's still labeled port and starboard. This goes on the most forward end underneath the companionway. And what happened was you can see here how worn it is, and here how worn it is. The ends of it were just grazing the rails, and it was making the hatch hard to open. So I think these ends need to just have like 1/16 scotched off them, and then we can put some shellac on there, which I have, because it's too gross to do varnish, but it doesn't get any UV, so the shellac will be fine for now. Now it slides without scraping.
Steve crammed himself behind the AC panel, and he and Aaron got started on wiring in the hot water heater.
Well, there was this one time where Satchel said, if you fish me 15 washers out of the bilge, then I'll owe you big time. And I fished 30 washers out of the boat, so he owed me double big time, and I got a fishing rod.
Oh, really?
And it was great.
Aaron has shown at every stage of his life that he is willing to take instruction, that he is then going to experiment on that instruction, but he's going to do so in a cautiously adventurous kind of way. He's going to be aware of his surroundings, but he's going to be on the adventurous edge of it. And we just built trust over the course of time to let him do more and more things, including our own power tools, where it's like, watch me do it for a while. Okay, now do it under supervision. Okay, now you're authorized to use that tool when I'm not around, and one step at a time. And he's just respectful about that. But like I said, also, he's going to just push it just a little without getting crazy. And we've just learned that he can handle it.
Could you, like, levitate?
That's me. Sloop rigged, so she's one of like a big one this size. Right there.
Supplies. And then I forget what the connector types are called, but you have to take the full screw out and then.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
1100 plus watts, heating up the water.
My thought is, so we leave this on until we see the AC loads drop, and the hot water heater turns itself off because it comes up to temperature. And then I think we see if we have hot water. So this is inside the hanging locker in the forepeak. We got the bilge ceiling here, and our ash ceiling down lower that we kind of walk on so we're not stubbing our toes in the frames. But what's happening is you can actually see the condensation on the bronze straps, and it builds up down here on the fasteners a little bit. And our clothes hang and they make contact with that, and our clothes get a little wet, and they've gotten a tiny, itty bitty little bit moldy from time to time. So what Bill's got going on here is a cardboard template, and we're going to cut up a fiberglass reinforced panel. It's pretty ugly, but it works super well. And we're just going to drop it in here, and that'll make the ceiling It'll let the air flow back there, and it'll just keep our clothes from touching the somewhat damp rivets and bronze when the air is warm and the water's cold and things are condensing a little bit. It's super easy to pull out and to clean and inspect and just drop it right back in. So I think for inside lockers and places like this that you don't actually see and you're not actually putting stuff onto it, I think this stuff works pretty great. It's not the prettiest, but inside a locker, who really cares? So Noah emailed and so that he made a pig sticker for himself, and he wanted to know if I wanted one. And I didn't know what a pig sticker was. I was imagining a spear to go pig hunting, and I was like, I don't think that's right. So can you explain what a pig sticker is in sailing terms?
Yeah. So what this is basically it's for a flag, either an ensign, a burgee, or a going home banner, and it's to get that flag up above your masthead. So on a gaff rig, you might fly your national ensign from the luff of the sail, or you might, if it's really small, you might put it on a pig stick like this, and it's just it just clears that flag away from your masthead, gets it up into the air, and it actually works really nicely as a Windex. So if you don't have the electronic version that you have, this is a good backup to look up and say, oh yeah, the apparent wind is coming from starboard or from wherever, and it's just a nice extra layer of insurance for a visual cue on where the wind's coming from.
Whatever you're flying to, like, tie it to the top and bottom here,
exactly.
Basically. Yeah, okay.
So if you look on both of these swivels, there's a hole here, and there's one up top here, and you just run a little bit of super thin line through it,
yep.
Or even a split ring would work really nicely. Put a split ring through it, and then you could clip the whatever you're flying right to the swivels.
Gotcha.
If you're ever in a race or something like that, and they want you to fly a code to say what your class is, this will get it up and very apparent as to what class your boat is.
Gotcha. This would probably also work well for like flying a quarantine flag coming into a new country or something.
Absolutely.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, I would go up to the top of the mast, and I would attach, I can probably do this with a really small little block.
Yeah.
And run a really small little line from the base of the mast up through that block, back down.
Yep.
And then I would tie that here somewhere.
Yep.
And then I would put another line that's just the length of the mast on the bottom. So you would pull this up, and probably is flopping around if you're not keeping tension on the bottom.
Yep.
And then when this fetches up against the block at the top of the mast, you put some down pressure on this, which keeps it upright and flies it above the top.
Exactly right.
Perfect.
And on my boat, I have, it's not even 3/16 triple braided rope.
Yep.
But it's, it's nice that if you have D-rings and you whip you make an eye out of the ends of the rope, you can put the D-ring onto one side down here, and then with that other, if you put an eye screw through the shaft of this pig stick, you could put the other D-ring there, and then you just hold nice tension and pull it up like you said, and make it off to a cleat someplace.
Gotcha.
I actually, on mine, they have a cleat that has a clamp back, and you could go to a shroud, and you could fasten it to one of your standing rigging sets, and it'll keep it out of the way of all your other running rigging.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And it's, you
just
can
get a
them
little
at
plastic cleat and lash it onto the shrouds.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, it's a nice thing to have, and my friend Bill, who knows way more about woodworking than I do, was like, I have a lathe, because I was telling him about trying to make this project. You want to just come use my lathe? And so we turned these gigantic Andre the Giant drumsticks.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what it looks like.
Like a giant drumstick, yeah.
Yeah.
And just made it into a nice looking pig stick.
Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. I
appreciate it.
It was so great to have everyone who could make it this past weekend come out and give us a hand. When everybody came, I told them that the rush to launch was over, and that all of these projects, they needed to get done at some point, but none of them were crazy crucial, had to happen this weekend, that the really big part was to get as much of the band back together, so to speak, as we could, and just enjoy each other's company and catch up, because I haven't really gotten to spend much time with any of these folks in a while. So thank you, David and Jeff, particularly, because they got together and they were the ones that hatched this plan, and David did most of the organizing and the rally of the troops. So thank you for helping to make that happen. And thanks to everybody who came out. It was a really great time. The people that I've met and the community that has developed around this dream and this journey is truly amazing, and it's one of the most surprising and most rewarding aspects of this all. And it was really great to be working with everybody again on the boat, and it was a whirlwind of a weekend. The weather was not great, but that definitely couldn't dampen the spirits. So it was awesome, and I look forward to more of that this summer as the weather warms and we can get outside and start moving around and using Arabella what she was meant for. It's been kind of a long stationary winter here, much to our chagrin, but the time will come soon when we can start moving around a little bit, and we're looking forward to it. Spring is in the air. So this was my potential to-do list when everyone was here. We didn't get to do any work on Victoria. The weather was just way too wet and crummy. Same thing with oiling the tiller, the tow rail, the boomkin, the windlass handles, anything on deck. Also couldn't do that in the rain. But on the aft hatch, trim went in, hinges went on, gasket went in, mushroom vent went on, hold down went on. So aft hatch is done. Didn't mess around with the anchor hold downs. The companionway foreboard was trimmed and installed. I don't think the rails or the drop board got waxed. I'll try to get that done today. Gray water vent got routed. We didn't tighten the rig, but we shimmed the mizzen. I still have to put a screw in for that. Hot water heater is online. We are chewing up power, and Robin's loving having hot water, but we're at a dock right now, so it's not a big deal. Stainless and Tyler on the heater went in. Too wet to do midship cleat repair. Didn't get to the outlet swap. The switch for the engine didn't come in time. Fore hatch hold down went in. We didn't pull out the mizzen boom for the bearings. Didn't do a rig check. Didn't do the forepeak door. Did sealing in the lockers. Greased the windlass. And the propane locker was another big hit. We got the solo in, gaskets, oiled underneath it, attached to the house, and I'm waiting on some pad eyes for the lid hold downs, and we didn't get to the settee. So I did not expect to get everything on this list done, even if we had had perfect weather, and I'm quite happy with what we did manage to get done, especially considering the weather. So I'm leaving the inverter on. So right now, even when it's not doing anything, it's just pulling 10 watts. And I'm watching to see how fast our battery drops and get kind of an idea of how much the hot water heater is going to use if we just leave it on all the time. I don't think that's the plan, but it's kind of good information to have. And the only way to see how much we really use is to leave it on and check the data and see how it shakes out. And while we're here in Harwichport for a couple more weeks and tied up to shore power, it is the perfect time to do some testing. So I charged the batteries yesterday. The end of the day, we were 100%. And between yesterday afternoon, last night, and this morning, we've dropped to 86 with our normal usage. So that's definitely faster, but it's not terribly fast. And we've got a little bit of solar coming in. There's actually some sun today.
I came home from working today and I asked Steve how it went with all the guys here. And he kind of like rattled off a list of a bunch of stuff that they did. And he sort of just like dropped in there, like got the hot water heater installed. And it kind of like went in one ear and out the other. I didn't really think much of it. And then later on he was texting with Scott and David, and they were, oh my gosh, how did Robin react to the hot water heater? And Steve's like, honestly, I'm kind of like unimpressed, underwhelmed. And I kind of didn't realize that he had actually installed the hot water heater. So I feel a little bit like I'm cheating on him. He's not here, obviously, because I'm filming this in a really strange way. But I'm going to try the hot water heater. And it's going to be my first time using it to do dishes. I'm so excited. Oh my crap, it's hot! Oh, it's like really hot! Oh, that's so amazing!